Have you had lunch yet? I don't eat lunch. You don't eat lunch? No, I don't spend a single cent each day. I can't earn money anymore. How can I be spending money? So how do you eat? I make some preserved vegetables at home with salted beans, and I can sell them for a few dollars. That's enough to buy jianbing, Chinese crepes. How much money can you make in a year by selling these? I can make 200 or 300 yuan yearly. Is this enough for your expenses? It's enough. Really? Yes. 300 yuan is enough? Yes. I live and eat by myself. My son works elsewhere, and when he comes back during the holidays, he will bring some food home for me. I arrived late this morning. You arrived late? Yes, there are no more customers. You're my first customer today. How much is this garlic in total? Isn't it 20 yuan? I have some small change here. I'll give it to you. No, that's fine. I don't need the change. 20 yuan. This is 20 yuan, right? You can use it to buy some food. Okay, you should take more. I'll get some water and bread for you. Wait a moment, Grandpa. Give me some water to drink. Ah, I'll get you some water. Okay. You can have this bread too. This is good. It's much better than the crepes. Better than the crepes? Yes. If it's good, I'll buy you more next time. I can't ask you to buy any more. It's not easy for you to earn money as well. Okay, Grandpa, please continue your meal. I'll leave now. Thank you. Thank you.
In the video, it appears that the elderly man is from a rural area in Shandong Province, China. From the conversation, it's evident that he lives alone and supports himself by selling vegetables, earning only a few hundred yuan, about 30 to 40 US dollars a year. He uses this money to buy basic staples such as the crepes common in this area. This man's situation is likely common in many rural areas across China. An elderly man, accompanied by his granddaughter, went to the market and was captivated by the array of delicious food on display. Unfortunately, the grandfather didn't have any money, and they had to leave reluctantly and with a sense of helplessness. On October 11th, the CCTV program News 1+1 invited Zhang Yi, the director of the Institute of Social Development Strategy at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, to discuss the topic of how to achieve precise assistance for low-income people. The program revealed that as of June 2023, the National Dynamic Monitoring Information Platform for Low-Income Population has collected basic information for 66 million low-income individuals, including recipients of social assistance, extremely poor individuals, and families on the edge of receiving social assistance. Zhang Yi defined low-income people as recipients of social assistance, impoverished individuals, families on the edge of receiving social assistance, families with rigid expenditure difficulties, and other categories recognized by local authorities. Regarding the 66 million low-income individuals officially reported by the Chinese government, some netizens questioned why they were not included in the statistics. They questioned the accuracy of the data and raised concerns about unemployment insurance for those who had contributed while employed, asking who owns this data? Is this data of ordinary people? Back in December 2020, during a press conference in Kunming, Yunnan Province, the Communist Party Secretary of Yunnan, Ran Chengfa, claimed that China had achieved a major victory in poverty alleviation and eliminated absolute poverty, with all impoverished counties graduating from poverty. This achievement was celebrated as nearly 100 million people came out of poverty. During the National Poverty Alleviation Summary and Commendation Conference held in Beijing in January 2021, President Xi Jinping declared that the fight against poverty had achieved a comprehensive victory, and regional overall poverty was resolved. The terminology shifted from poverty alleviation to precise assistance and social assistance. It's evident that the data released on October 10th, indicating 66 million low-income individuals, contradicts previous claims of nearly 100 million people being lifted out of poverty. Political commentator Lu Jun commented to Radio Free Asia, "There are two issues here. First, the authorities have always downplayed the numbers regarding low-income and social assistance recipients to make their achievements appear greater. Second, this contradicts Xi Jinping's earlier boasts about the tremendous achievements in poverty alleviation. Now with the release of data on 66 million social assistance recipients, it suggests that the poverty alleviation mission has not been completed." Xing Jian, a resident of Xishan County in Henan Province, who who currently lives in New Zealand, stated that applying for social assistance isn't straightforward in his hometown. He emphasized the importance of having connections to navigate the system, saying applying for social assistance isn't solely based on being poor, it's about having connections from top to bottom. Before applying, you need a certification from the local committee. They may demand money or gifts from you. Only after obtaining the certification will they report it to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The application process is quite complicated, and it's challenging if you don't have the right connections. The government won't take care of you. It governs you for the revenue you generate for them, not for the help you seek. Chinese scholar Chen Daoyin, residing in Chile, expressed in an interview with Voice of America that the figure of 66 million low-income residents isn't based on international standards, but it's calculated according to China's criteria. He emphasized that using international poverty standards would reveal a much larger number of impoverished people in China, not to mention those classified as low income. He concluded, "We shouldn't engage in word games with the Chinese government." Chinese resident Liu Hua, speaking to Radio Free Asia, described herself as living in a typical impoverished household, stating, "Nowadays, around 40% to 50% of people living in China are impoverished. Most people haven't been able to earn money in the 3 years after the pandemic. Those receiving social assistance haven't stopped, such as the nephew of a village party secretary or relatives of township-level party secretaries. They are the ones with connections who receive social assistance, while those who truly need it can't get it. For the genuinely impoverished, if they fall ill, they can only wait to die." According to the National Bureau of Statistics of China's Statistical Communique of the People's Republic of China, on the 2022 National Economic and Social Development, households in the lowest 20% income bracket had an average per capita disposable income of 8,601 yuan, which translates to approximately 717 yuan per month, or about $98. Based on the standards set by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, individuals with annual incomes below 13,770 yuan are considered to be living in poverty. Using the standard, the number of low-income individuals in China far exceeds 66 million. So how does the income gap between the impoverished populations in China and the United States compare? According to data from the U.S. Census Bureau in 2020, the poverty threshold for a single individual was set at an annual income below $12,760, equivalent to 93,352 yuan, which is over 10 times the annual per capita disposable income of low-income individuals in China. Recently, a video circulating on Twitter has garnered widespread attention. The video claims that 2022 statistics come from the China International Capital Corporation. Do you consider 5,000 yuan per month as low income? Here's a set of data that might change your perception. Authoritative data indicates that there are 5.46 million people nationwide with a monthly income of $0. There are 215 million people with a monthly income between 0 and 500 yuan, 202 million with an income between 500 and 800 yuan, and 124 million with an income between 800 and 1,000 yuan. Adding these numbers together, there are approximately 550 million people nationwide with a monthly income below 1,000 yuan, which aligns with the official statement by high-level authorities. Furthermore, there are 243 million people with an income between 1,000 and 1,500 yuan, 172 million with an income between 1,500 and 2,000 yuan, 203 million with an income between 2,000 and 3,000 yuan, and 156 million with an income between 3,000 and 5,000 yuan. In total, there are 1,328 million people with a monthly income below 5,000 yuan, making up nearly 95% of China's total population. The mentioned high-level authorities in the video refer to former Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, who passed away on October 27th. On May 28, 2020, during a press conference, Li Keqiang stated, "Currently, around 600 million people in China have a monthly income of only about 1,000 yuan, which drew significant attention both domestically and internationally, particularly amidst the Chinese Communist Party's repeated emphasis on the success of its poverty alleviation policies." The data in the video for 2022 regarding those with a monthly income below 1,000 yuan aligns with Li Keqiang's statement in 2020. This suggests that over 2 years later, the number of people with a monthly income below 1,000 yuan has not substantially decreased. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, the Chinese Communist Party has not only failed to address the issue of poverty resulting from prolonged warfare, but has also exacerbated the problem through policies such as nationwide land collectivization, the monopoly of social resources, the organization of all production activities through planned economic models, forced takeovers of private enterprises under the guise of public-private partnerships, and the dual household registration system for urban and rural residents. These policies have led to a larger population living in poverty. Of particular note is the Great Leap Forward movement, initiated by first-generation Chinese Communist Party leader Mao Zedong, and aimed at achieving economic growth surpassing that of the UK within 15 years and catching up with the US within 20 years. The Great Leap Forward campaign resulted in unprecedented natural disasters and famine during a period of peace, with estimates of at least 40 million people dying of starvation, while recent evidence suggests that the death toll during the 3-year famine may have been around 96 million. Mao Zedong caused the deaths of so many Chinese people. I have some materials from the Ministry of Public Security. In the files of the Ministry of Public Security, it is documented that 96 million people died of starvation during the 3-year famine. After the end of the Cultural Revolution campaign initiated by Mao Zedong, when the Chinese economy was on the brink of complete collapse and the pressure on civilian livelihoods had reached its limit, the second-generation Chinese Communist Party leadership, led by Deng Xiaoping and other high-ranking officials, partly abandoned the comprehensive planned economy system they had enforced for over 3 decades. Instead, they sought rapprochement with Western democracies and began implementing a market-oriented economic model, allowing the existence and development of private enterprises and individual businesses. This marked the beginning of what is known as the Reform and Opening Up policy. Although the environment of reform and opening up did provide some breathing space for the Chinese public, and there were visible improvements in living standards, the shift towards profit-oriented industrialization in the fields of education and healthcare, as well as issues related to social welfare policies, remained unaddressed. Under the veneer of improved daily lifestyles, significant hidden crises in people's livelihoods were brewing. In urban areas, many ordinary citizens faced impoverishment due to illness, and some could not afford medical treatment, leaving them to await their fate. In rural areas, elderly individuals relied on doing manual labor work, remittances from their children working in cities, and meager monthly incomes averaging less than 200 yuan to make ends meet. According to the 2022 report by First Financial, the actual pension level received by rural residents in 2022 averaged 188 yuan per month, which is only equivalent to 5.26% of the annual monthly pension of 3,577 yuan received by urban employees. Once they lose their primary source of income or suffer from severe illnesses, economically disadvantaged elderly individuals in rural China often have no choice but to wait for death or even consider suicide. A study by Professor Fan Pei Zheng's team from the Yangming Chiaotong University School of Medicine in Taiwan analyzed data from 2006 to 2015, found that in rural China in 2015, there were approximately 22 suicides per 100,000 elderly individuals aged 65 and above. The number increased with age, reaching 52 suicides for those aged 80 and above and a staggering 66 suicides for those aged 85 and above. Particularly in impoverished or remote areas, the suicide rate among rural elderly individuals is much higher compared to relatively affluent regions. Xi Jinping aspired to consolidate his power for life, enhance his reputation both within and outside the party, and highlight the achievements under his leadership. He has put forth numerous grandiose goals since taking office. These include combating bureaucratic corruption, realizing the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation, and building a community of shared future for mankind. Among these, the achievement of universal poverty alleviation and common prosperity has been one of Xi Jinping's main political achievements, and he has consistently promoted it. However, as of 2023, following the absurd zero-COVID policy, major economic indicators have all shown a downward trend. Exports have shrunk, the Chinese yuan has depreciated, real estate companies have faced defaults, private enterprises have been closing down in large numbers, and an impending financial crisis is looming. Tens of millions of young rural laborers who previously worked in cities are reluctantly returning to their hometowns, and the actual unemployment rate among young people has exceeded 46%. An article in Caixin last month cited research by Associate Professor Zhang Dandan of Peking University, suggesting that if approximately 16 million non-working individuals, such as those adopting the lying flat mentality or relying on their parents, are considered unemployed, the actual youth unemployment rate in China in March this year could have reached as high as 46.5%, far exceeding the officially reported figures. In the face of an economic collapse, no matter how Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party try to use the lie of universal poverty alleviation to paint a rosy picture, they cannot conceal an undeniable fact. The scale of China's impoverished population is not decreasing, but rather, it is amplifying with the long-term economic downturn, especially in vast rural areas. The tragic events of the Great Famine during the 1960s may repeat themselves.